You all right there?
I'm trying so hard. Trying so hard.
All right, welcome to the Whiskey Vault. It's the continuation. It's Friday.
Bottom shelf week.
It's bottom shelf week.
We're not doing donation day because the whole week has been donations from Martin Gillis. You magnificent patron saint of whiskey.
Yeah, there we go. So, notice something about this bottle?
Yeah, it's upside down.
Yeah, that's because it's actually meant to be like this.
So, hold it. Here we go. Well, just pour me some.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You're the holder.
That's sketchy.
You're the holder.
So the thing about it is it goes onto a tap in a bar, and then you can do tap.
That's clever.
Released shots of whiskey. So this is a large bottle.
I scooted into a bush on the way.
On purpose?
No.
Like fell over?
No.
Like just threw it?
I was dodging Tommy's car.
Over here.
Yeah.
So you went,
off road and then
Yeah.
through a bush, and then by the time I collected myself, I was back on, and Tommy came around the corner. I'm like, hey, what's up?
The John Jameson and Son Irish Whiskey Company formed in 1810 officially.
Butter note. Smells.
They took ownership of the Bow Street Distillery.
It's kind of thin. A little bit of trace of apple and butter.
Now, originally built by his wife's cousins in 1780.
Is that a nutmeg?
Yeah, it's nutmeg but lemon.
Yeah.
But definitely that biscuit spicy light note. It actually reminds me of the weekend I had
biscuity.
I had this lemon square.
What do you mean by biscuit?
What do you call the lemon squares?
Lemon squares.
Yeah, is that what they are? Lemon squares? It's
lemon
just a square of like a lemon curd kind of looking thing? Or it's like a gelatin.
Yes, lemon squares.
Okay, so I had a lemon square that had a disproportionate amount of crust. Right, so you got the lemon, but it was really heavy on the butter crust.
Crusty lemon square.
And it was really good, but it was citrus mixed with that butter shortbread biscuit thing.
But that thinness is still in there. I'm assuming it's a 40% because this is a money-making whiskey. Yeah.
Now, Jameson was a lawyer first, and then he married, get this, Margaret Haig from the Haig family. And where does that name come from? Where's the bottle? Here it is. Look what's on there.
Haig Club.
Yeah, it's one of the original Scottish whiskey blending companies.
That's a big perfume bottle.
Yeah, it really is. Haig was back with like Ballantyne's and Buchanan's and so on. Haig was one of the companies doing mass quantity blended scotch. He married into that family.
Get the slightest bit of a metallic note?
Oh, I always get a metallic note with grain. Scottish grain, or Irish or Scottish grain spirit.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit of metallic.
Yeah. It's the column still, and you're using grain, and I always get that aluminum. It's like when you drink soda from a can and it has that vague flavor that definitely came from a can.
Yeah. We got the Neil Cook. Hey, you've talked about how different climates affect the distilling process with regards to taste results. What two places with significant climate changes do to standardize their products? I presume they do certain processes at the same time each year prior to placing in casks. If they do the distilleries say in Scotland? Typically all do the same processes at the same time, kind of like a season.
No,
for a certain process.
Seasons are, in my discussions with people, are more important in America than they are in Scotland. The temperature gradient in Scotland is not dramatic enough that seasons have as much of an impact. Also, the fact that it stays in a barrel longer in Scotland traditionally means you have a longer time to blend out any differences.
Even out all that stuff. Yeah.
But in America, seasons can be dramatic. And if you're going to sell something young, 4, 3, 2 years old, then seasons can be a big deal. Now, if you are a large distillery, then you have enough barrels to blend out the variance. If you're a small distillery, your barrel variance is going to be dramatic.
Yeah.
And it can become a concern.
Yeah, it's a thing. They like customers. They fell in love with this one thing one year, and then
you're like, oh, I don't know if I can repeat that because that was the hottest summer in Texas history.
So Jameson is considered a budget Irish.
Yeah. The base Jameson.
Okay.
They have nice fancy ones, but the base Jameson is a blend of pot still and grain column still.
This is one of the biggest Irish whiskey brands.
Actually, the base Jameson might be only pot still.
This is one of
But using malt and grain.
This is one of the biggest Irish whiskey brands. And I try really hard not to know things, but even I'm surprised that I don't know this. Are there many cocktails made with Irish whiskey?
No.
I can't think of it.
I mean, you can go to Irish pubs where they're making Irish whiskey cocktails, right?
Sure.
But in my experience, Irish whiskey is so friendly and approachable that when you add a whole bunch of stuff to it, you completely bury it.
Okay.
So I have made multiple famous cocktails, like not famous, I made them famous, but like ones that are in books every bartender knows how to make.
Yeah.
And I've tried them with Irish whiskey versus the bourbon or the whatever.
Sure.
Or the rye.
Yeah.
Every time. The Irish whiskey makes it totally invisible.
Huh.
It's almost like all you're doing is adding alcohol, but not a lot of flavor. So the one thing that's pretty famous for adding Irish whiskey is Irish coffee.
Oh. It's not really a cocktail, though. That's just what you do in the morning.
Yeah. That's called
part of your breakfast.
That's called coffee.
Part of anybody's healthy breakfast whiskey.
Now, ironically, the Irish coffee was made popular in San Francisco.
That's funny. Kind of like Canadian bacon. It's not really Canadian.
Yeah.
It's ham. The reason why I ask is it's budget week. Mm-hmm. Usually when we're talking about budget whiskeys, the easy conclusion is, well, you know what? Blah, 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 blah. It's not amazing. It's not horrible. But it's good for cocktails.
Yeah.
This is one of the whiskeys that I would say, okay, it's budget, sure. I can't think of a cocktail to put it in, but
I drink it myself.
Yes.
All day long.
Well, not all day.
No.
For a portion of the day.
As a touring musician,
yeah.
This was probably the number one thing I drank while playing shows.
Okay.
For like 15 years.
Well, you can get it in any bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, this is a whiskey that you can tell when the bar has not been pouring it often enough.
Yeah.
And they also haven't been sealing it. So if they just let the pour spout and they just set it on the back shelf and they leave it for,
you can taste the difference.
Then what happens is Jameson starts to taste soapy when it's been left open for too long. And so when they pour you a shot of Jameson, you taste it and you're like, it tastes like they didn't clean the glass all the way.
Yeah.
That's because they mistreated the bottle.
This is a whiskey that if I were going to drink it, it would need to be earlier in, the variety that I'm probably going to have that evening. Because if I have it near the end,
even more invisible.
Well, there's particularly if I have something really complex, like in Scotch or a really amazing bourbon, and then I come to this, the faint metallic note that I get becomes very pronounced.
See, that's not true for me. So my dad and I have this tradition, which is when we hang out, smoke cigars and drink whiskey. You start with a fancy whiskey, you follow with and then you bring a budget bottle out. That's just like what is the go-to from that point on. Right? So we'll pour a glass and put the bottle away as something nice. We'll bring a slightly fancy bottle and then like a Bushmills, a Jameson, a Powers, a budget Scotch. Yeah. And that's what sits on the table. Yeah. Right? You pour a second of the nicer stuff and then you move that bottle away. And then for the rest of the night, because we'll hang out till 2 or 3 in the morning, Jameson is a good go-to. It's just like, I just need a whiskey refill with this cigar.
We got the Scott Farney, I love the poor man's blend you used to do. Yeah. Is there a way? Basically, it was just the only thing we did during Rex Week until the climax. And there was a climax. Is there any way we can get more of those? We'll do more of those on the Whiskey Tribe channel. Yeah. Sure.
The funny thing is people are still finding that final video of Rex Week. Still to this day, I'm getting alerts with people going like, what the
So anytime...
what happened to that whiskey?
Anytime I do an Off the Rails episode, which, at this point, they're usually showing up on the Whiskey Tribe channel. Yeah. My only goal is to find a really, really nice balance between people saying one of two things. Either, what the did I just watch? Yeah. Or... that was the single greatest thing I just watched.
Yeah. And sometimes you get both in one comment.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, I've seen guys where it was like, what the was that, comma, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, how big is your comic collection from Nicholas James Neer? I don't know. It fills up the walls in my office. I don't know how big it is. It's from when I was a teenager. Okay. Yeah, man, if we were just going to tell me, hey, Ricks, go buy a budget whiskey, a bottom shelf whiskey.
Jameson's easy.
I'm going.
Of everything we've had so far, thanks to Martin.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
Yeah. Cool. Here's to fighting, stealing, and drinking.
If you fight, may you fight for a friend.
If you steal, may you steal a lover's heart.
And if you drink...
Hold on. No.
That was like a real, that was...
It's like holding in a sneeze.
Oh!
It's like holding in a sneeze.
Man, I was just right there.
Hold in a sneeze.
Okay.
And if you drink...
May you drink with us!
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us in the Whiskey Vault. Don't forget to throw in a like, hit that subscribe button on the bottom right, and drop a question or comment down below.